I'm Danelle Beaton, I'm Chief Executive of Canon, a company based on the Isle of Skye at Solmo Rostig. We've been really fortunate to get involved with what HIE have been doing with MIT. My first exposure was actually about 3 years ago when I got the opportunity to go across to Media Lab and see what was happening there. Now, although that was really useful for me, what I did feel at that time was we actually have some good ideas over here, I just didn't know what to do with them. So when the opportunity came up this year to actually go to Sloan School and see how to actually take your own ideas and develop them into a good commercial business, jumped at the chance with that.
I'm Andy Norrie, I'm the Technical Director at Quartz Technologies. We're a small company based in Aviemore. I was out in their EDP programme in January out to MIT, so that was a full week's course of immersed lectures and teamwork and visiting some of the local companies there to see how they worked. It was a fantastic experience. It's really, really hard work, but you know, we got so much out of it. Meeting 100 or more people just like you that are really enthusiastic. To begin with, you're a little bit intimidated. You think, you know, they're going to be so much better than I am. And by the end, you realise that they're very much like you, which gives you so much confidence that you can do the same things as well. And you get to meet people that have overcome the problems that you're working on just now, and you think, you know, in 6 months' time, I can get past this. I know I can do it. I've seen so many other people like me that do.
I'm not aware that I'm actually speaking about what I did at MIT. I try not to because it sounds a bit naff. Actually, I did this at MIT or I did that at MIT. But I think if you were to ask any of the staff, you know, what the changes have been, they would be quite quick to sort of pick them up. And that is being much more focused on the customer, being more ambitious, more confident about what we do ourselves. And I feel that personally, you know, that we don't always get it right, but nobody does. And, you know, what we do is actually not bad. It's not maybe top world class yet, but we have the opportunity to develop what we do. But equally, what we are actually doing at the moment, we can shout about and try and look to a wider market and exploit it that way. So I would say that's it. It's confidence as much as actually learning more about entrepreneurship and development.
Certainly for me, because I have an engineering background, and so the whole idea of financing, of running a company and expanding it is a very different prospect, and it's not something I was, you know, I didn't have the culture of how to do that. So I gained a huge amount from that, and I know it is possible and I can do it. So that's the biggest thing, and obviously that feeds back into the company as well. You know, at this time last year when I went to this event, well, there were only 2 of us. So for me to come back with the energy and enthusiasm for that obviously is going to make a big difference to how the company works. And we took on more people perhaps faster than we would have done explicitly because of that. We concentrated a lot more in the sales and the marketing sides that we knew we weren't good at, and we knew we had to get better. I'm not the most talkative person, and sometimes, you know, I can be a bit quiet in new situations, but you get out to somewhere like Boston and everyone's there in the same situation, and everyone is looking to network and talk to new people and find out about them. And it feels great because everyone you go up to is happy to chat and happy to tell you about themselves and ask what you do and find out what's going on. And yeah, it gives you a lot of confidence. You come back being happy to go out and find a director of a company and speak to them and try and sell your product and why you can help them. And without that, you can't be a business. Yeah. You have to be able to speak to these people, and you have to understand they're not scary. They are like you. They have problems, and if you can solve them, you've got to be able to convince them of that.
I suppose before we were kind of a big fish in a very tiny pond, whereas now we don't want to be that. Quite happy to be the small fish again, but really want to grow it significantly. And not at MIT, but somebody else has once said something about making money while you sleep. And although that sounds very hard, there is an element of that you know, you put the work in and the effort in, so then your sales force or other people can actually take your product forward. Whereas with purely service, which is still an important part of what we do, that just can't happen, you know. So certainly feel more confident and more ambitious, and we won't be happy just to stay in the Highlands. Already most of our clients are elsewhere in Scotland, but we want to move past Scotland.
Before, I guess, you know, I knew I wanted to work in a small business and try and make something that was, you know, it was working for me, and I was going to help build it. And yeah, it showed us, I guess, the fact that it could move on from a lifestyle business that's just about enough to support you living into a real company that could make a difference in the world, and and be a well-known name, and do something good for the local economy as well. It'll be a very small difference, I'm sure, but it's a niche market, and we want to be the world leader in that. So we think we can.
For most of the people in the company, I think we have the same attitude. There's a few that maybe are looking at it more as a lifestyle business and are happier with that, and that takes a little bit more effort, but I think with most of the team it's actually trusting them to get on with it. So have a go, stand up, say your piece, and feel confident about that, and actually allow them to speak to people at very high levels in other organisations, whereas in the past I might have hogged some of these discussions myself.
When one person comes back with a lot of energy and excitement, it's very hard for that not to come across onto the other person as well. And when we met up again and started talking about what we had to do, just the general excitement just built between us. We can really go somewhere now.
I mean, there is a consideration. A week out of the business is a lot, but a week out of the business working on strategy and thinking about where you're going for the rest of your lives and the rest of the future of the company is not long. And I mean, that's something I would say. I'm very much involved in my own company on a minute by minute basis, and feel that sometimes that, gosh, am I indispensable, am I not? But you're not, and they can certainly live without you for a week. I appreciate for a 2-person, 3-people company that is harder, but honestly, if you can just put it to one side for a bit, it is absolutely worthwhile, because the things you learn and the decisions you take will kind of last you a lifetime. It's a completely different thing from deciding what will I do today or this week or this month or this year.
It's very easy to say because I've done it, and I know it absolutely is worth it. I probably gained more experience in a week than I could have done in a year of making my own mistakes. So if you consider how far you're going to go in a year and compress that in small time, okay, maybe you feel you can't take a week out because everything's going to stop, but it's only going to stop for a week. And the accelerated time you're going to get after that, the new abilities you've got from it, the new confidence, the new ideas, is going to make up for that in a couple of months. Regardless of the cost in time and money, it's certainly worth it, especially for a small business, and even more so for one like ourselves, where we're perhaps missing some of the key skills that you would have if you maybe had 5, 6 or 7 people. Perhaps you could have found someone for every sort of individual position. If you can't have that, you have to train the people, and if you stop trying to train your people and build up their own abilities, then your company isn't going to get anywhere.